Can everyone hear me? I hope everyone can hear me. Let me see. Can we get a confirmation as to if people can hear me? Hello. Okay. Sound on my end supposedly is going. Let's see if I can. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully it'll be easier. Okay, sounds good. All right, everyone, welcome to the second live stream we've ever had. Once again, I'll be one of your hosts, I guess, for today. I'm from the North American Technical Support Office here in Los Angeles, California. My name is Annie. So today, I'm mostly just going to be dedicating time to answering questions that come up on the live. I do have one or two that people asked ahead of time. Nowhere the amount that was asked the last time, probably because I answered the majority of questions that people have so far. Yeah, so I don't have too many here. Oh, I got some Brazilian clients saying hi. Hey, glad to have all of you here, and folks from Brazil, from the States, probably from, I think, one or two from India as well. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to start with the pre-submitted questions as always, but this is going to not take very long. There's like 2. So, okay. So the first question I have is from an Indian client. Hi, Hubsan. I am from India and saw from your website that you do not currently sell drones in the Indian market. Is there any way I can get one delivered to me here in India? That's a hard question, to be rather honest. I'm not sure why we haven't opened up operations in India yet, but my advice is to send us an email, service@hubsan.com. We do have several representatives that might have the answer to that, but none of them are in technical support. All of them are in like online sales. So if you send us an email to service@hubsan.com, we'll be able to redirect you to those reps. We can't give that information in public. So, but if you give us an email, we'll be able to directly contact you about that. It's a short and sweet answer. As for why we're not in India yet, I have no idea. Probably because of certification issues. We've had issues in terms of not being able to, like some countries putting restrictions on our sorts of products. Like some countries not like forbidding lipos from being sent to them. And that's nothing we can help, unfortunately. There was a question about Brazil and Anatel. I don't know anything about Anatel, but by the sounds of it, it's just that standards from the government they're not allowing us to directly export over there. So if you have any questions about buying from Brazil, I have one piece of direct advice, and that is there are transit companies that people from a lot of South American countries rent out lockers with, and then they buy from the North American site, have them transferred to lockers for a pretty nominal fee, and then the locker company mails them the product that they purchased from the North American website. So that's a very handy solution. We also have a representative in South America. I don't remember exactly where, but if you email us at service@hubsan.com, we'll be able to get that information to you. So yeah, I just killed 2 birds with 1 stone there. Anyway. Oh boy. Okay, lots of people. Okay, before I keep on going, I will get to the live chat in a bit. If you could, and I will go all the way to the beginning. I will go all the way to the beginning of the live chat to the people who first asked a question, and I will get to as many as I can. it's best if you don't post repeat questions or spam, because then it's going to be harder for me to get to all the questions. And I'll be really frank, it's not, I mean, if you spam, it's probably less likely that we'll get to you, just because we want to be polite to everyone, and to someone taking up a lot of the space in the chat, that's just not very nice. So rest assured, I will get to you in due time. I only have one more, I think 1 to 2 more questions from the pre-submitted ones, and then I'll get to the live chat. So you guys will be okay. I promise. I'll get to the live chat in a bit. So the second, and I think last question here is, I think he meant to ask, why does Hubsan.com support team suck so bad? Not does Hubsan.com team support so bad? So why does Hubsan.com support team suck so bad? I don't know. Or Hubsan US, not Hubsan.com. He said, why does HubsanUS.com support team suck so bad? God, totally skipped over that last part. Now, HubsanUS.com, for everyone's reference, is a website opened by, I think, a company called Textra Brands. They're located in Brooklyn, New York. They aren't affiliated with us as the official company, although it's understandably confusing given their name, HubsanUS.com. I mean, people confuse them for us here in the North American office all the time, but they're not us. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that. It was already answered below that comment. Yeah, we don't know. They're not us. We don't control the quality of their support. So yeah, over to the live questions. Okay, first question. What is this expected to start? If you take a look at the Facebook announcement that we had, then you'd probably get the answer to that question. We start at, today was scheduled at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is officially 7 minutes ago. Next question. Hi, folks. Am I in the right page? If you're looking for the Hubsan live stream, then yes, you're in the right page. Anything else, probably not. Next question. I have an H501S. The battery charger never goes to steady green. It flashes red and then green, even if I leave the battery on charge for 4 hours or more. I would not leave the battery on there for that long because the charger is broken. If it flashes green and then red, it's dead. It needs to be replaced. So for that, I think you have 3 options. The first is you can either, if it's dead out of the box, then you can email us at service@hubsan.com to get the charger, to see if you can get the charger replaced under warranty. The second is that if it's been months, if it's been a long time, specifically over a year, then the 1-year warranty that we have on defective parts is going to be over, so you're going to want to purchase another one. And that leads me to the third option, is that people like to buy a lot of aftermarket hobby chargers that are of really good quality. They do come at a bit of a price point, say at around 60, 70 USD. Some people even splurge 100 to 120, 150 on them. But if you do your research correctly, they're well worth the effort. They're going to be really precise, and you can program or do specific things like how many amps you want, at what amperage rate you want, the battery charged at, et cetera, et cetera. Fancy stuff, very fancy stuff. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Hi, hello, yes, hi to everybody here. Thank you to our pilot from Germany. I'm not sure if you're how many people from Germany are here, but I do know that we appreciate our UK and EU fan base a lot. You guys are the bomb, really. You guys are hopping, as I like to say. When you're not hopping, you're flying. That was a really bad pun. Anyway, okay, let's keep on going. I know I'm like skipping through more quickly today. It's that I don't have nearly as much time today, so I'm trying to get as many answered as possible. When is the new model of the H501S? I think he means when will it be released? I don't know. I don't think there is gonna be another one. Then again, you can't really trust my word for it there. If you want further information on that, send us an email at service@hubsan.com and we can ask the people in charge there. I don't think even if there were, we would be allowed to disclose that information. Just a heads up. I'm not allowed to disclose any new product information that has not been approved ahead of time. So not only was I not informed of the particular progress on that, if there's like a new version of that coming out, but also even if there was and I was told and I was not authorized to talk and like say anything about it, then not happening. Okay. Hi, Shally. Oh, I'm not Shally. Sorry to disappoint. Yeah. Next question. Any news on the H123D? I am waiting for a replacement aircraft because my old one was taken out by a bird. A bird taken out by a bird. That happens. Just, oh, I'm sorry, man. That's one of the most annoying ways to lose an aircraft. Again, as we've answered on I think our official page, there's no release date for the 123D yet, and we don't really have any pricing on that. I recommend keeping an eye on the Hubsan.com page because last I've heard, they're still everything is still in progress. Without me giving out too many details. And once again, I express my condolences. If you manage to recover the aircraft, you might be able to have it fixed. It depends on how much damage was done to the aircraft, and if it's going to be worth the cash used to repair it. Of course, it'll be easier if you're a hobbyist and you know how to tinker with the stuff and change out parts yourself, because then you won't have to, pay repair fees and whatnot. That's what'll get you, not the parts. Parts are fairly reasonably priced. Next question. Does the high power mode of the H123D only boost the 5.8 signal or the 2.42? Supposedly, I know for sure the 2.4. I don't know about the 5.8. So for that question, I would actually post to the official Hubsan forum. There we go. If you guys don't know about the official Hubsan forum, go to www.hubsan.com and click on forum. And if you do that, you should and make an account on the forum. You should be able to ask us and everyone else on the forum that question directly, and also email us if you like as well. I haven't flown the 122D lately, and I haven't tried out that function yet. But speaking of which, I probably will want to, just because if I recall correctly, it should. I'm not 100% sure. Should be that both frequencies are boosted. But if anything, if only one of them are boosted, it would have to be the 2.4. Depend from what has been described to me, from what I've been told from the head honchos over at R&D. So yeah. Next question. Any new models coming out in the future? I can say, of course. We wouldn't exactly still be around if we just stayed with the models that we had, but I can't really get into detail about that, except for the 123D. Okay, next question. I am interested in setting up a Hubsan store in India. Do you have any franchising options at the moment? Will it be very hard for me? Well, the answer to that question is going to be kind of, there's going to be multiple parts to it. First, if you are able to email us at service@hubsan.com, we'll get you redirected to the right person, the right people for wholesale. That's number one. So that part isn't hard at all. It's pretty easy. I don't think we have franchising options at the moment because, frankly speaking, we don't exactly have a retailer chain. But if you want to set up a vendor, as in yourself, as in you want to sell Hubsan products, that's easy enough. We don't have franchising options at the moment, though. Sorry to say. But even if you don't, you're not selling under a franchise and you still want to sell our products, that's a fairly easy process. Just email us at service@hubsan.com and we'll get you redirected to the right people. Oh. So yeah. Next question. New firmware for the H501SS. I'm not allowed to answer that question, guys. I'm sorry. Got the technician smirking at me right there. But yeah, I totally forgot to mention, I won't be covering any sort of firmware news on any live stream. And I'm going to be sure to begin every live stream with that. We're not going to be covering any firmware questions unless specifically we're talking about firmware that has already been released and different specific questions regarding that. And I'm going to just start every live stream with that. Okay. Next question. All my clients have problems with the transmitter for the transmitter that comes to the H501M, I'm guessing you're asking. Uncentered. Do you know the problem about that transmitter? I'm not quite sure what you mean by uncentered. If you could send us a short video of what you're talking about to service@hubsan.com, that'll be a lot easier to, if you're talking about like the joysticks not being centered, I mean, that happens to every transmitter. That's why we have the transmitter stick calibration. And if I remember correctly, the HT009, does it have trims or not? I haven't heard any problems with the joysticks being uncentered on the HT009. You might want to ask your clients if the transmitters have experienced any sort of blunt trauma. Because, and only ask that after you've recommended the transmitter stick calibration. By the way, the tutorial for that calibration is located on the official Hubsan Facebook page on the pin post labeled Back to Basics. There's also one other option that you have for calibrating that transmitter, and that is if the aircraft and application on the mobile device and the transmitter are all paired together, all connected. You can go over to the application settings, over to controller or remote control setting, and look for the transmitter stick calibration there. I would try that first, and then revert to asking if each client's transmitter has been exposed to any sort of blunt trauma. It might be also that your particular if they were sold at a specific time, it might also be that all the aircraft in that specific shipment had been subject to some sort of knocking around during shipment, and that might also cause the issue as well. Again, there are multiple possibilities. That's assuming that I interpreted your question correctly, because the translation is a little weird on the live chat. So if what I'm suggesting doesn't seem to match what you're talking about, please send us a short video of that over service@hubsan.com so that we know what you're talking about. I know sometimes language can be a bit of a barrier. New model question, already answered that. Is Hubsan coming out with a drone that can compare to DJI Phantom 4? Again, I can't. that's not a question that I can answer, but I can, what I can say is that you might be surprised, like really surprised. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, why H501A as SS sometimes become crazy and fly away on their own? That's a really long-winded answer. And I answered this, I think, during the first live stream that we had. So if you want an answer to that, the full answer to that, you're going to want to visit the recording on that live stream on our main channel. But to shorten that answer, it's honestly, there's a lot of different possibilities, and you would have to describe exactly a case. But since we don't really have, since you haven't, I can go over a quick list of them. Compass interference. Compass calibration not done properly. GPS interference, which is really annoying. GPS interference is a real pain in the butt. You can have a perfectly well-functioning GPS module, and if the interference is bad enough, the signal will drop out in the middle of flight, and that's just not pleasant. So that can sometimes cause it. There's also a problem. There's also something called HDOP, which is the measure of GPS satellite inaccuracy for a specific GPS system. Different countries, as I said before, have different GPS satellite systems, and they're not even there in 100% control of them, because you've got things floating up in space that are dependent on the gravitational draw and the physics of each satellite in comparison with planet Earth. So sometimes they come out of array, and it's not like we can send, governments can send up a robot to pull them back in place or keep them in place. That just doesn't happen that way. So sometimes, even if you seemingly have a very strong satellite connection, you might have experienced once or twice on your GPS in which the GPS is like, you've arrived at your destination, and you're maybe 100 meters, 300 meters away, depending on how bad it is. That's a low-key version of that, just not very accurate. There's that as well. There's also possibility of people having I have heard of a really weird case once in which one of our pilots was approached by this dude who had this machine, and he had it turned on, and it appeared to be some sort of signal interference device, and from then on his aircraft was never the same. That's just a taste of everything that we know of. There's so much that we don't know of, because it's not like we have right now a means of keeping track of every single aircraft that is sold. The system of that is the systems that would entail that would be astronomical. So, and we'd have to honestly, the aircraft would show different signs. Long-winded answer, even short. Yeah. So yeah. I'll send you the information. Those are just a couple of causes. We'll go ahead and do that. Next question. All right. Oh, no problem. No worries. Yeah, okay. I just jumped. Is the forum monitored 24/7 for live support? Not 24/7. We come close to 24 hours a day, but even then, because we switch off between the American and Chinese offices, there are some lapses in between. And also, it's not like we have someone on the forum all day just dedicated to watching the forum at each office. All of our representatives have to monitor multiple things at once. So it's there are lapses sometimes, but usually with the majority of the posts that are put up on, they're usually answered within, I think, 12 to 24 business hours at the very most. If you're having troubles, again, you can email us directly at service@hubsan.com for another source, or you could also private message us on the official Hubsan Facebook. Not a question, but thanks for the time you take for answering our questions. It is greatly appreciated. It's no problem. Number one, it's my job. Number two, we always, honestly, we deeply appreciate our customer base. I like to take just a little bit of time every live stream to approach that, whether beginning, middle, or the end of the live stream. Again, none of us would be here. No company would be here. That includes us, DJI Unique. None of us would be here without our fan base. So, of course, we thank you all, especially for the people who are in the hard-to-reach areas like Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. Bless them, South Africans. It's not easy over there. It's having like just the retail situation over there is weird. And not to mention, you guys have to deal with the magnetic inclination and declination issues over there. It's pilots over there are very dedicated. I just have to say. Next one will be a firmware upgrade for the H12D to 122D. Again, I can't answer that question. I won't be answering that question in terms of firmware. And again, to be more specific, the reason we don't answer questions about firmware on live streams is that even if there were versions that are in the works, we don't want to rush them. The more you rush stuff like that, there's no good results. And developing firmware is difficult enough as it is already, and rushing the process, you won't like the results. So even if we were to bring out a version like on demand, if it's not properly vetted by as many people as possible, I've seen just, so many versions will come out and it'll get even more confusing and people will have multiple issues. It'll just create more problems than solve. And that's another reason we don't come out, like people aren't coming out with features the moment they're requested for, because they have to be tested in pretty much as many areas of the globe as we can, and by people who are from the company and not from the company, specifically from like pilots who volunteer their time and resources to test firmware like this from our client base. And to them, we owe so much. We honestly, like we have so much appreciation for them from the tech sector, like from tech support and from R&D, because honestly, like without those people, you wouldn't have the firmware that you have, and they wouldn't. And if to rush that sort of process would be to put pressure on them as well. So it's not good for the client base on that end. Long-winded answer. As you can tell, I'm very fervent on that topic. What's new for Hubsan this year? Keep your eye on the live streams. You never know when I'm going to be authorized to say something or multiple somethings. Any updates on the Netherlands office? Okay, they're partially staffed at this point, I believe. I think there's still a couple more components that they need to put in place before they'll be fully operational. But from what I've been told, they're actually ramping up operations as we speak right now. So I would expect more of an answer within the next couple of months. I think for sure by the end of this year they'll be in full swing. Then again, I think I'm not over there. If I were over there, it'd be easier for me to monitor the progress. Thanks for something about the bird incident. Yeah. We feel. Anyway, next question. Got to get through. Where is a good location for videos on flying the H501S? Anywhere where there's no magnetic interference and where there's good scenery. So you see all the European folks with their great, just their forest shots and their city shots with the great, just the amazingly good views. So the first thing you want to consider, as I mentioned, is interference. And also potential interruption by other people. You don't want to, I've seen a lot of close shaves. You don't want to be flying anywhere with things that might, hurt the drone or the thing, and places where the drone might hurt other things. One of our clients who asked the question had a bird collide into a bird. So his aircraft ran into a bird. You want to avoid that. So anywhere without interference, or with as little interference as possible, because without is nearly impossible nowadays, but with as little radio and Wi-Fi interference as possible, and also someplace with as little obstruction as possible. On note about interference, our hardware is actually pretty good with working with interference if you know how to rebind and if you know how to change 5.8 frequencies. So if you know how to do those, if you're perfectly fine, even in areas where there's a lot of interference. Do keep in mind though that your range will still be restricted there, because even if you can find clean channels, the frequencies will still run into more flak going in more distance, so that'll reduce the overall signal strength going longer distances. That's another new product question. I cannot answer that. New functionalities. That is actually included with the firmware thingy-majiggers. That and for just, yeah. Sorry, dude. I'm restricted on that end. Okay, we have a French client here. Hello to all the people from France. And again, much appreciated. I'm going to have to translate your comment because I cannot read French. I am sorry. Will you come out with folding drone? I'll let that be my answer. Next question. Is there any possible way I can get at least one product shipped to India? I can demonstrate to my investors. Yeah. Email us at service@hubsan.com. We'll redirect you to the appropriate representatives for that. Easy question to answer. Next question is in French. Sorry, I'm going to have to translate. It'll be possible to record videos directly on the smartphone with a Hubsan application, because for the moment, recover videos and photos, you have to go through a PC. Okay, that is a good question. I have not heard news of them developing a function like that. We haven't actually, we submit customer feedback a lot to R&D, and as of right now, I personally haven't submitted that piece of feedback to them, so I will go ahead and do that. Hopefully, they'll be able to find a solution for that, but I will say they are preoccupied with cleaning up the application as it is right now, so it might take them some time to get to an inquiry like that. But that's a good suggestion. I'll go ahead and I'll log that down for them. I'll keep it here and log that down. Directly to a device. That'll also be kind of difficult, not for iOS, but for Android. There are so many versions of Android out there that, frankly speaking, it's a hot mess. Trying to get everything to work at the same time. I would imagine, though, they'd be able to find, if they really worked on it, I think they should be able to find a solution for at least the latest versions and just Android. Anyway. Oh, boy. A question that does not want to shut up. You mean the question that's repeatedly asked? When will we have a store here in Brazil about the Brazilian homologation? Homologation or homologation? homologation. That's how you pronounce it. Anyway, I think that means that when will the industry be? Honestly, whenever the Brazilian government decides to loosen up, to lighten up on those standards, whenever they lighten up, whenever they stop putting so much pressure on remote control radio devices like our aircraft. Is there a difference between power output megawatts between the copters released in the EU and the ones in China/US? Oh, and do you still produce the plane? I could not find it in the store. I don't think so, honestly. I think because from what I've seen, all of the copters that are shipped to the EU and the ones that are shipped to the US operate the same hardware and the same firmware. So there probably are not, honestly. I don't think so. It'd be too much work to secretly put in a limit for all the EU copters and like things that get mixed up in all that drama. Do you still produce the plane? Yes, in limited quantities. It's not as popular as the rest of our aircraft, so production naturally on that particular aircraft is going to be lower than the other ones because the demand is lower. If you can't find it in the store, email us at service@hubsan.com, and we have contact with the representatives who will be able to help you possibly with that inquiry. In that sense, production is more limited on that end. I can't really guarantee that they'll 100% have a solution, but knowing them, they'll probably they do it. There is at least a possibility, and they certainly have many more tools than if you were to just go online and try and search for someone else. Also, a heck of a lot more reliable, and you don't have to look out for people cheating you. Let me see. Hello, I'm from Vietnam. Hello to Vietnam. 8 years. Does China make all the chemtrail drones or outsourcing? I'm not quite sure what that means. Honestly, I don't know I'm not very well versed with what chemtrail drones are, but I can say that pretty much all drone components nowadays are produced in China, so I don't know how much more outsourcing you could get from that. I don't think China outsources what is already given to them. Go crazy and fly alone. If I've already answered that question early on, but if you're having a specific issue with your aircraft, please email us a very thorough description of what you're experiencing. Don't fly the aircraft as of right now, just so that we can see exactly what type of problem it is. I have the H109S Pro. I would like to have a wider range of motion on 3-axis gimbal, fixed panning full down with newest firmware, still very limited side-to-side change possible. I will submit that. From what I've heard from the technicians, the change is possible, but it all depends on whether or not they have the resources to devote to writing that piece of that piece of firmware right now, because it's again, they're kind of crowded up with a lot of other stuff right now, but I will make sure to mention that. Let me write that down. Copy. That's strange that you would have a side-to-side restriction. Most people have an up and down restriction. Could you email us a short video of that at service@hubsan.com? That would be very much appreciated. Firmware 1.1.41 is giving you problems, or is it giving us problems? It's one of the most stable pieces of flight control firmware that we've tested in a long while, man. That one is very good. Followed up second place by 1.1.36. But that's a very, I mean, I'm not quite sure what issues you have. It might not be firmware related. If you're talking about stuff about aircraft not being able to, like you're talking about aircraft flying away issues, then no. No, man, if it were firmware related, we'd had our entire client base would be in an uproar. Because so many people have upgraded to that version. I start with the H501S up to 200 meters. With 50 meters, I changed return home, but not answered, and continued up later with 200 meters, accept my command mysteriously. The Hubsan down correctly. Why? Probably because the first command was not received properly. That does occasionally happen. So if that does happen, switch the return to home off, and then switch it back on. Will Hubsan count out the more powerful battery, the H501S, of the quad for flight time beyond 18 minutes? I don't know, but I'm saying I guess that the answer would probably be no. Because honestly, the more juice a battery pack has, the heavier it is. And that is non-conducive to flight time as it is already. So yeah. That's the short answer, sweet. News about the 123X4 jet. I do have a bit of news. I can't say it. I can't go into detail, but I'm going to say if they're going to be going with the stuff that I've been seeing them go with it, if you already like the 122D or if you didn't like the 122D, oh man, I love what they've been developing on the 123D. It's thrilling. It really is watching them, what they've been doing with that particular aircraft. Okay. If we have any fixed requests or suggestions for new features, do we send these to support or where? Just a question for now. I'm way too new to drones to know anything. Send them to service@hubsan.com. It's by far one of the most reliable ways. Just so that we have an email trail. And it's easier for us to, it's easier for us to track them. No problem. Could you explain the H501, like the H501 name, what all the different letters mean, like S, SSC? Thanks. Honestly, it's just a name. There's nothing that it really stands for as of what we know. For all we know, I think R&D does have a reason for it, but they have not talked about it. There is a nickname that the H501S has earned for itself in China. That's and it's 坏小子or bad boy. And I think everybody knows why we call it bad boy. Very enjoyable flyer and whatnot. So yeah. I have a problem with the recording on the SD card. Sometimes it does not record. The file says that it's corrupted, H501S. Either it's the SD card itself or it is a formatting problem. So if it's a formatting problem, you're going to want to go to our official Facebook page, go to the Back to Basics pin post at the top of our page, and go to formatting. What is the exact name of it? I believe it is a formatting tutorial that we have in the Back to Basics series, and also you want to read the do's and do nots of recording video and taking pictures. So I think the number in the series is Back to Basics number 14 and 15. You're going to want to look at Back to Basics 14 and 15. Alrighty, last two questions that I'm going to be able to take for today. They're telling me I got to get my face off off YouTube now. Hello, I have a question about the H109S. H109S, is it true the production is it's no longer being developed, even though it's still being offered everywhere? For now, I don't think so. I mean, production on it has slowed down just because demand on it has slowed down. So I don't think so. If you want like to make double sure, you can email us on that and see what our Chinese office has to say on that as well. Next question. Recently bought an H501S, had to fly with 11, Lord Endo. Still had telemetry that stopped at the last live feed, GPS location 120. Okay, so that description is, that's an example of a more vague description. Did you manage to find the aircraft? If you did, we can we'd have to run multiple tests on it to see if it was anything related to GPS module issues or whatnot. But that's a little bit vague. So if you could, I'm sorry. Not even with the leftover GPS coordinates information did you manage to find it. Then that's a long shot, honestly, because anything could have happened. Let us know if you can find it or not. If you can find it, it'd be the best case scenario we'd be able to tell you. If you can't find it, it's going to be near impossible for us to give you an accurate diagnosis on that end. Okay, so that's the last question I can answer for today. Again, I want to take this time to thank everyone who has tuned in to this particular live stream. It took a little longer than I expected, but thank you all of you for your patience, and especially to the people who did not spam and were kind enough to wait until their questions would be answered. And that helps us get through as many answers as possible so that many other people who aren't asking the questions can also have answers or potential answers, or maybe even just the lead will help the people watching this live stream. And again, we thank everyone from different parts of the globe. From the US, from China, from Japan, from Korea, from South Africa, from France, from Germany, from Brazil, from pretty much anywhere. I'm sorry if I didn't get to you. There are too many countries to name. But once again, thank you. As a reminder, for people who could not make the morning time here, Pacific Standard Time in the United States, or for the people around the globe who just couldn't make this time, we have one more live stream this week at 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time, US. So if you know anyone who wanted to make it this time and just could not, go ahead and tell them about the next time that we have this Thursday, Pacific Standard Time, 1:30 p.m. I believe the exact date is Thursday, June 14th, so day after tomorrow. Again, we will not be talking about firmware to be released, just so that we can keep everything stable on the production side and on the testing side. And also, again, for any products I am not allowed to talk about in detail, or any sort of features that are coming out for specific aircraft. I'm sorry, I cannot answer them. But you're more than willing to ask and see, and again, keep on asking, because you might get a day, or not even might, you may be able to keep up with new product information that I am able to answer on a later given date. You're welcome to It's getting to summertime. Get your aircraft out. Peace.